Hey, welcome back to the channel, man. I told y'all, Yo Gotti had to cancel that CMG concert because the folks done beat him to the stage before he got there. He looked up and his members from the other side waiting for him in the hallway, and the promoters let them in. They disguised, came in and said that they had the fake CMG chains on from Johnny Dang. And they bought them just so that they can get in because they wanted to go into the dressing room so that when Yo Gotti and them and Moneybagg Yo and Big 30 put up all they, like 50,000 that they bring from the back end that they got to give them, they trying to take the bread. That's why the promoters and everything, like, you got to understand that the people who's behind the scenes and all that is always trying to set people up, and this karma keep happening to CMG because of Young Dolph things that was going around and that they connected to. There's no reason why the first show that Black Youngster does with Yo Gotti, something ends up happening to where they think that somebody set something up, and the whole time Black Youngster never even showed up. Like, Yo Gotti and them came first. They rode in Moneybagg Yo Bentley, got there, and they basically parked up. They walked up the stairs, the security let them in. They didn't even have no metal detectors. So when dude and them got in and was waiting there in the back hallway right by the stage, they pulled the curtain back and he already had a hammer and everything like that. And that's when Yo Gotti and them see it, and they're like, you know what? If those are and they ended up being the security guards. And so it's like, how is it that the security guards end up being the ops of CMG and everything like that? And so that's when they decided, you know, they were scared. So they had to cancel the whole show. And he calls Black Youngster, and Black Youngster was like, oh, I'm just now getting ready to go on the way. And so that's when he realized that whole time. He remembered that's one of the dudes from when Black Youngster pulled up into Grove Ridge Apartments and everything. And basically, that's when he was sending a message to Dolph on live with the blick and everything like that. And so that instantly Moneybagg Yo was like, I'm not talking to Black Youngster no more. That's why you haven't seen a Moneybagg Yo and Black Youngster feature in at least 1 year. And it's been so long since you've seen all the CMG people together. And anytime that they pop out, do this, do that, they always in the news or something happened. And just like how at the Prive restaurant, it went down when the folks came back and they slid. And they didn't care if they was getting Yo Gotti or his cousin or whoever. And condolences to the cousin and everybody that's connected to that whole situation, because of the fact that that should have never happened, due to the fact that everybody should have known to move that Prive restaurant to downtown. Just like when the cookie shop moved to downtown after the Dolph, because they knew people were going to slide back at that restaurant looking to get revenge, because Double R and Trula is still out there. Like, they still trying to slide for Jay, one of the dudes who was Young Dolph protege. He was next up, other than he was going to be the one that was going to be bigger than Key Glock, but then something happened, and that's why everybody got split up and mad in Memphis. And so folks got to understand that other than the Yo Gotti and Young Dolph, there was other underlying things going on, playing on in the background, who they was, when they was all younger, they had connections from that, because they all stemmed from what was actually once the Double R and Trula, and when they was all one, basically, because they all grew up together. Like, Key Glock and Makita's Raven went to the same high school. They did events. When Raven was throwing all them events, that's how she met 901 Trigger Trey. They tried to get with CMG so they could add that into it, but that's how you know that they started calling her Jamaica Thick from that. And remember, it was Jamaica Thick that wanted to be the artist for CMG Yo Gotti. And so when that didn't happen, that made it to where they were like, okay, we got to have a backup plan. And boom, that's when she started working at the cookie shop. And then fast forward to when Young Dolph comes in, she seen the opportunity, and she took the opportunity by taking her phone out and recording the video. And so once she posted that, she didn't know that Yo Gotti was going to call her. But it's a small town in Memphis, so you got to understand, anytime somebody sees Young Dolph, anytime somebody sees Yo Gotti, they going to quickly record, post it, whatever, tell their people, and they could be connected to the people on the whole other side that's against them. And so that's why when Lil Migo got caught at the airport on Airways and everything, and Grove Hero pulled up to him and smacked him and tried to take his chain. So you got to understand, anybody out there that's in CMG and in PRE or that's connected to the Dolph and this and that when they see each other, there's always going to be something said, because they're not just going to let that situation play out and not speak on it, because everybody got to get basically confronted, and they're going to test their waters, basically test their temperature in the situation, and be like, okay, are you actually on something right now? Because if they did that to Dolph, then what you think they'll do to Key Glock? if anything happened to Dolph like that, then what you think is going to happen to Grove Hero, Big Moochie Grape, or Snoop Bands and everything? That's why all of them, when they run into somebody from CMG, they're going to do exactly like what Grove Hero did. So, and it just so happens to be that Grove Hero was the first one to do that, other than when they basically slid on Newski, which was Big 30's cousin, at the whole studio and everything like that. And a lot of people thought that that was not connected to anything that was going on, but they all was basically part of the whole entire thing. Like they tried to get him to go with them too to the cookie shop. And so a lot of people was like wondering what was going to happen. That's why Memphis turned into an entire war zone the way it is. And still Yo Gotti and them haven't came back to undo all of the stuff that was caused by the involvements from the beef, from the baby mama situation, Black Youngster, and all of this stuff, man, because they got everything riled up. And so now that's even gotten into John Morant. But if Dolph was still around, man, he would have shown John Morant, he would have signed him basically and had a whole nother type of wave emotion on another level. But you got to understand the envy, the greed, the jealousy, that all gets in the way. And Dolph was doing it on his own, like he came up on his own and everything like that. He didn't have to have the big whatever behind him and everything like that. So what happened is that Memphis knows that it's Dolph land, and so when Yo Gotti seen that, way more people was rocking with Dolph than them, that made him feel a certain type of way. So he tried to he tried to compete even more. And so what ended up happening is that all the people that joined in on CMG, like Black Youngster and everything, it just got overshadowed by the beef. And so at the end of the day, everybody was basically working to fuel into the beef that Yo Gotti had. And that's not cool, because nobody should be taking the beef to that length, to that seriousness, because at that point, nobody had really dropped at that point. And so once you get into the Dolph situation, then it's like, yeah, when they tried him in Charlotte with the whole 100 shots, but he was one step ahead. He already knew what type of time people was on. So he bulletproofed the whole truck. Like he got it to where it was armored. And so that prevented a whole lot of things. And basically he beat them at that. But that's when they realized, okay, they got to keep going and going at it. And so they never left it alone. Most of the time, you would think that if they get millions and millions of dollars like they was getting, that they would have left that alone. Like, just by Black Youngster turning himself in, he snitched on himself saying he was a part of it. And so it's like, dang, so that was a clear-cut case of somebody who was getting, at that time, millions, because he had just got like 1.3 mil from Yo Gotti when you seen the 12 pull up on him when he was trying to take it all out of his account and everything like that. And so he had millions, and they still went after Dolph. And so that's what, at the end of the day, I guess the money never satisfied him. The money never changes where they, the situation and where they come from and they beefs and, what's going on in their head and the type of people that people are. And that's a big lesson that everybody got to learn, is that you could get millions and millions, but it's hard to change the patterns and the behaviors and what you used to doing. And so, but the thing is people got to learn, just like how Dolph stepped away from certain things once he got to a certain point where he had tens of millions and whatnot. He's like, you know what, I'm going to leave all that alone. I'm not going to pursue after that type of thing, because what you get in is what you get out, and everything that's done in the dark is going to come to light. And so basically, you got to realize that they shut down that Yo Gotti CMG concert by spooking them. When they opened that door and they seen that it was Yo Gotti's direct ops, they all ran back into the limousine, and the limo driver pulled off. And they told the promoters in the venue, are you crazy for doing that? Because they felt like it was a setup. And the whole time, once they realized that Black Youngster never even made it out there, they were like, okay, he might have something to do with it. And so that's why you can't really trust nobody anyways, because you got to always be thinking of the best way to move so that you don't get caught up in no surprises like what just happened, man. And at the end of the day, people got to wake up and realize that you got to look at the facts and realize it's a revolving door situation, and open your eyes and recognize that it's already things that they into it with. So they all paranoid basically, and everything that's been happening, like you seen, they don't want to end up getting slapped like Lil Migo did by Grove Hero, because if they run into Grove Hero, he's going to do that again. And so Moneybagg Yo don't want to get his chain snatched or one of his peoples or nothing like that. So they all was like, they're not taking no chances, because they got millions of dollars in jewelry they bring in with them, equipment, and if they put it all up in that dressing room and somebody gets in there and that's a big lick waiting to happen, because while they're performing, nobody is in the dressing rooms like that, because it's supposed to be off limits, or it's in a certain type of area in the whole building. And so when they ran off like that, they did it because they know that they brought a big bag with them that they was going to flex, and they didn't want the people running off on that.